on Sunday. My name is Dina Newsom, and it's Ladies' Day today.
Woo-hoo!
Tuesday, Ladies' Day.
Yeah.
I have some exciting guests. Go ahead and say hello.
Hi, Julie Easley.
Hello, Kate Solberg.
Thank you so much for being here. So I don't know if you guys know this, but today, actually tomorrow from when we're recording, when this drops, it's National Dog Day.
Oh.
So I have a two-part question for you. One, are you a dog lover or a dog hater? And two, who's your favorite cartoon dog and why? Maybe not dog hater. That's a bit strong. Are you a dog lover or maybe not so much a dog lover? And who's your favorite cartoon dog and why? Dun, dun, dun.
I would say I tend to be more dog neutral. We had a mini dachshund for 13 years, and he was very sweet, and we enjoyed him. And my son has a dog, and we love him. So I like to see a dog on the street, but I'm not like completely dog obsessed.
Mm-hmm.
And the cartoon dog I like is Droopy Dog. Do you remember? He talked like this and moved real slow.
You know what I'm
really
doing?
well.
I'm so impressed. Who knew? Voice
that-
actor
that-
Julie Easley right here.
That dates me, but Droopy Dog, let's just shout him out. We all feel droopy on occasion.
Well, I've had two dogs. I've owned two dogs. As a child, we had a dog, I want to say for 3 months before my parents were like, nope, not a fit. And I don't know what they were thinking. I mean, my parents are relatively very intelligent people, but we didn't have a fence. Like, they didn't think it through, I don't think.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, I'm a mom now. You get suckered into stuff all the time. But yeah, my dad, luckily, he found this farmer and was like, the dog's yours if you want it. And I remember my dad told me, the farmer called me back. And as soon as he said who it was, this was pre-caller ID, you know, my dad was like, oh, so just going to hang up on him. But luckily, he said right away, like, I just want to call and tell you how much we love this dog.
Oh, great.
So my dad was like, oh, great. Okay, goodbye. You know?
Yes.
But anyway, I gave birth to a daughter who is a major dog lover. And so I've bought her two dogs. I've been suckered into it twice. Our lab passed away in the fall. And this goes with your next question. She named him at 5 years old. She named him Hunley after the lobby dog in Curious George.
Aww.
So Hunley is like, he really gets annoyed with people when they mess up his lobby because he really likes to keep the lobby spick and span. And I had the opposite. My lab made a mess of everything. When you hear shedding dog, like you do not understand what that means until you own one and you have hair everywhere.
Oh, that's
In
tough.
every piece of furniture, on every baseboard, on your clothing. Like luckily I loved him. So now I just have one dog, Fletcher. He is relatively unintelligent, but I really love him a lot. So.
You talk about shedding. My daughter just moved last week. We moved her from one apartment to another, and she has a dog, and she has a lab who sheds. He's a black lab. She lived in a very white apartment, and I was shocked at the amount of black hair all over the baseboards, all over the counter, all over the floor.
Yes.
There's no stopping it.
Yeah. I'd say I'm a dog lover. I don't feel the need to be a dog owner. I am a dog owner right now. I also maybe got suckered into it a little bit. I don't know. I had owned little dogs when I was growing up. Our family had little dogs, and I always wanted a big dog, like a guard dog, like one that, you know. And so we got a big dog, like a month before COVID happened. And he was the best thing during COVID. It was amazing. And now I find him annoying at times. He is still a shedder. He's a very hairy dog. He's part Pyrenees, so the hair is everywhere.
Wow.
Yeah. But I'd say I'm a dog lover. My favorite cartoon dog, this was a tough one for me. A close second is Scooby-Doo. I'm a big Scooby-Doo fan, but I think it has to be Snoopy. And I love Snoopy because he communicates without words. Like, I love figuring out, like, and just his expressions. And
And
I
his
don't know.
happy dance.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love the Charlie Brown universe. So maybe I'm impartial, but Snoopy's got to be it for me.
That's great.
Yeah. Go ahead. Let us know how you're celebrating National Dog Day.
Mm.
All right. So we are on week 4 of our Game On series. This has been an exciting month as we're diving into the story of Esther. And I have to say, on Ladies' Day, I have to say, I've really enjoyed this. There are so many, I don't want to say bigger Bible adventures, but, more related in public Bible stories about men. And I like, as a woman, I like hearing the ones about strong women in the Bible. And so I really enjoy Esther's story.
And the Bible does have a lot of good stories
Yes,
about strong
it
women.
does.
They don't shy away from it, man.
Yeah, I
Yep.
just feel like we don't hear about them as much in public.
Sure.
And not because they didn't happen. It's
Yes.
it's just different.
Mhm.
I love the Game On booklets that we have with this
Yes.
message. The graphic
Yes.
of it just makes
That
me feel like
princess.
she's a superhero sweeping in to save the day.
I agree. I love it too.
All right, so this week we are talking about the game Uno, and we're talking about the reversal that courage changes everything. Pastor Greg Griffith has taken us through this series. So what are you guys taking beyond Sunday from this week's message?
I liked the refuse to match the color.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's just so much pressure to conform to the world standards, or even, clearly, I know we beat this to death, but like social media can just be a huge area of like, oh, I'm falling behind, or I need to catch up in this way. And saying, you know what, living a simple life for the Lord is a way in which we can refuse to match the color and say, those may be your priorities, but they're not going to be mine. And I'm choosing to do something different with my life and how I'm pursuing the Lord and trying to make his priorities mine. So,
yeah, there's so many things that are so impressive about Esther and just how when Greg, was getting ready, the very first sermon, I remember that week being like, oh, I'm going to brush up on Esther. I'm going to read through it before he starts and, just familiarize myself. And it was one of those times I just woke up at 4 a.m. And then I laid awake and I was like, oh, I forgot how terrible it is when it starts.
Mm-hmm.
Just like the system that the king had in place, how he banished his first queen.
yes.
And then he had, this harem of women that he was trying out for the new position of queen. Like, I was just like, okay, this stressed me out. Why did I read this? I'm like,
Down with the patriarchy.
Right. And I was like, how is Gigi going to tackle this? This is going to be a stressful series, But then, Esther doesn't throw a fit. She doesn't get out her protesting board and, this is terrible. She just is not that, she's accepting of the situation that she's been placed in. And that's the first point. Second point. Whatever point, you got to play the cards you're dealt. Maybe that's just how Gigi started off. You got to play the cards you're dealt, which is are there tons of things wrong in this world? Yes, all over. And you can choose to pitch a fit and make a scene and stomp your foot and be angry and bitter, or you can be like, or what can I do today with the situation I've been placed in, with the tools God's equipped me with? And that's what Esther did.
Mm-hmm.
She was a vessel for the Lord to work through to save an entire nation of people because she didn't pitch a fit.
Yep.
So maybe that was a lot.
No, it's good.
That's great. If you haven't watched this week's message, catch up. If you haven't watched the series, that's great. I really liked when he talked about your wild card moment and recognizing your wild card moment. My family really enjoys playing Uno, and there's a lot of times where I'm like, ooh, I want to hold on to that wild card. And nope, not yet. I want to wait. And then sometimes I'm like, oh, that was my moment. It went by. And I just liked the way he talked about it. And it just made me think, okay, how can I look for those moments in my life?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
What is my wild card moment? And it doesn't have to be like the epitome end all, someone's life is on the line, someone's salvation is on the line. It can be the little things too that, hey, this is my wild card moment where I'm going to play this. Yeah.
Yep.
I liked that. All right. What do you think it truly means to be courageous in today's world? And how can we cultivate this in our daily lives?
Mm-hmm.
Well, one thing for me is many years ago, I decided to stop telling people I'm going to pray for them. And instead, I say, can I pray right now? Which I think takes a lot more courage. And because it's pretty passive to say, oh, I'm going to be praying for you, which is nice and kind. But to say, can I pray right now is way more courageous. And no one's ever told me no. So I'm batting.
It's a pretty good record.
Yeah. I'm batting 1,000. And sometimes it takes people off guard in a good way because you're willing to kind of pause your day and say, we're going to go to the Lord together right now.
Yeah.
So
I love that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think kind of related to what I talked about before, just trying to go against the grain and say, I'm not paying attention to all of the voices that are telling me what I should be like or how I should be spending my time or money, and instead turning to the Lord and saying, what is it that you want from me? And then let the chips fall where they may.
I put go big or go home. That's what I wrote down for my notes of this. And I think that's a thing people say a lot. And if you say that to one of my daughters, she will say, I think people underestimate my desire to go home. I'll go home.
It's a pretty nice place to be.
But I feel like that is that's my idea of courage is stepping into something that seems scary, where maybe you want to run away. It's that bravery in the face of fear. And I think that can come in really big ways and really small ways too. And I love your example of just praying for people in the moment rather than saying, can I pray for you? I will pray for you, doing it in the moment. And it does take courage because you don't know how they're going to react. Yeah. But like you said, batting 1,000, that speaks for something.
Yep. Yeah.
All right. How does the metaphor of playing a game like Uno relate to living courageously like Esther?
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys feel like you are brave Uno players? Do you go big or go home?
I feel like you do. Like I'm more strategic. Like I'm going to hold this draw 4 until this person says Uno, and then I'm going to slap it down on them and whatever. But you're right. It's risky. Sometimes that doesn't always work out. Okay, say the question again.
Well, how does the metaphor of playing a game like Uno relate to living courageously like Esther?
Yeah, I think just thinking about what are the strategic opportunities the Lord's placing before you and where can you make the most difference? So I really don't feel like God called me to be an accountant, right? That's never been something he's asked me to do. He has asked me to do other things, though. And how can I make the best use of my time and the best use of the gifts that he has given to me instead of being sad for what I'm not, being thankful for what I am, and then just praying for those moments and asking the Holy Spirit, please deploy me where you see fit. Mm-hmm. And would you let me know? Make it clear, now, right? Talk to this person, write a note to this person to encourage them, share your faith walk with a person right now, invite your cleaning lady to church, all of those kinds of things. So within the gifts that he's given me, within the, let's talk about Uno, these are the cards I've been dealt. Mm-hmm. And now how do I play them with cooperation of the Holy Spirit to the kingdom's best advantage?
Yeah. I think I've said it before on this podcast that the dumb prayer I used to pray where I'd ask the Lord to just shove me in the way he wants me to go because I was just convinced I'd be playing my own game and I would miss it. I'd miss the promptings. And then as I walked with the Lord longer and longer, I felt like he revealed to me, that's not my character. I don't shove my children.
Mm.
And if you want to hear from me, then you're going to need to come to me.
Yeah, get closer.
Right. Get closer, get quieter, slow yourself down, and wait sometimes.
Mm.
You know, we want it now, fast, fast, fast. But that's not the rhythm of the Lord. Like, yes, there are some times where God will say, like, go talk, go ask this person how, you know, it happens
Sure.
quickly. But with other times, no, it doesn't.
Yep.
Yeah, it happens slowly over time. And as you study the word, as you study his character, as you learn more about his traits, then you're going to know in the steps to take because you're taking time for him to mold you and teach you.
Mm. And you're becoming a more sensitive
Yes.
spirit.
Yes.
I really thought of this as Uno is like ever changing. You know what I mean? You don't know what's coming around next. You can have a strategy of, oh, I'm going to try to hold on to this card, but then it comes down to the choice of, do I draw or do I play the card I already have? Or, you know, and I feel like it makes me think of Frozen, the song from Frozen, Do the Next Right Thing, I think is one of the songs. My granddaughter says that a lot, where you can only, like you said, you're dealt this set of cards. This is what you've got to play with. Everything else is rapidly changing. And I felt like that's where Esther was too. You know what I mean? The things around her were changing. The influences that she had were changing, the opportunities. And so she was just reacting in each moment. Okay, here's the next right thing. Okay, now here's the next right thing. And I think that is living courageously, as looking at each step at what you can do in that moment. It may not be the long-term courage that you want or the big step that you want, but it's what is the next step that I can do.
Yeah.
And when she didn't know the next step, she said, we're going to fast and pray.
Yes.
And she told her cousin, you know, fast and pray for me. And she did. She stopped eating. She went to the Lord and waited, like, I'm in a predicament. I need to know what to do next. And the Lord revealed it to her.
Yeah. Mordecai was noted for being uncommon. Greg really commented on this, on being common, that like Satan wants us to be common. Can you share a personal experience where you chose to be uncommon and how it impacted your life?
Okay, so this is a blast to the past.
Uh-oh.
High school, 1986.
Dun, dun, dun.
Our professor, our teacher, our school history teacher walked out of the room while we were having an exam, and a bunch of people pulled out cheat sheets and started going to town. And I remember meeting the teacher after class and saying, look, I just wanted you to know this is what was going on. I don't think that everybody had the best learning experience, and I don't think this is probably the way you want your classroom to run. And one of the guys that was cheating, I somehow found out that I talked to the professor, and he basically accosted me at a locker and pinned me up against a wall and was ready to beat me up.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Big
that
tough
was
guy.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
your ninja skills got you out?
You want to hear?
I'm
You want to hear the
curious.
crazy thing?
Yeah.
A petite female. Wow.
Yes.
So impressive.
He was so big. 3 years later, he asked me out on a date.
No way. Were you like, is this a joke?
I was like, no, thank you.
Hard pass.
No, thank you. Anyway,
Dang,
I know isn't that just? Anyway,
Dang.
living uncommon can be a
Yep.
little dangerous sometimes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Well, along those lines, I almost got beat up as well. I got a beat up story almost too. I was sticking up. Mine goes further back than high school. Mine was middle school.
Mm.
And I remember my friend, she was getting picked on by this big girl.
Ooh.
And I was like, hey, knock it off. Leave her alone. And she's like, oh, no one talks to me that way. You know, and she's like, I've got friends in high school. And I was like, okay, you know.
All right.
And I'll never forget, the next day, she had her high school friend come to the middle school. They were going to take me out. And her high school friend was a lot smaller than her. And she's walking down the hall and she sees me. Sure enough, from Tuesday night dance class, we knew each other.
She's like, I don't want to beat up
She's
my
like,
dance friend.
Oh, that's Katie. Katie, keep your mouth shut. And she like turned around and walked away. But I was like, oh, wow, this took an interesting turn.
Yes.
But yeah, it's in you to like stick up for the right thing and the little guy, like,
Right.
and that's uncommon. That's often uncommon.
What I thought of in this is really my parenting. So my kids, I have 2 daughters that are just a year apart, and then there's 9 years until my son was born. And that 9 years, a lot of like when my daughters went through middle school, high school, and I feel like that's your harder test of parenting. Not to say that the young years aren't difficult and stressful and pull you in a lot of ways. But when they're little enough, you can still physically move them. That's a different story.
Yes.
But a lot changed in my life, in their lives, and I feel culturally in those 9 years. And I changed the way I parented. And it was funny to me because a lot of the things that I learned from conversations with my daughters once they got older about what they felt. I was a fairly strict parent. I had really high standards. I had high expectations for them. Their father and I kind of were on the same page with what their boundaries and guardrails were, and that was kind of it. I mean, there were no exceptions. And what I learned later was how that made them somewhat fearful of messing up and not being able to come to us when things like that happened, or just scared of us as a parent, scared of when they would make mistakes, what that would mean. And I didn't like that. I didn't like how that felt. And so I parented different with my son. And I was much more laid back. I was not as strict. I yelled much less. And the funny thing was, my friends at first would tease me about it, but who I got the most flack from was my daughters. That, you're going so easy on him. He has it so easy.
Every older set of siblings does that.
Yeah.
Even if it's not that bad.
Right.
Yeah.
But this was like, there were a lot of things that changed. His rules were changed. Plus, at the time that he was in high school, I was a single parent household and we were not married any longer. And
Also,
so
you're 10 years older and freaking
Yes.
tired.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. And you're tired.
I'm not going to have that fight anymore. But I just felt like it was hard for me to explain to them why I was parenting different when the bulk of what I had learned about how to parent differently was from them. Yes.
You're like, you created this.
Yeah. But it was very much of, okay, I'm dealing with the cards I'm dealt right now and the knowledge I have right now. And when you know better, you do better.
Yep.
And so I'm trying something different because I don't like what you said about how the first round went.
Yep. And he gets the benefit of it.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. We'll see as he continues to grow what he tells me.
I love when my children critique my parenting. I'm just like,
It's so rich, isn't it?
Maybe come back when you have your own children.
Yep.
Then we can discuss this.
When they're teenagers.
Thanks for the comments, though.
I can remember my dad many times saying, "We'll talk when your kids are teenagers."
Right. For sure.
Yeah.
All right. So the choice between being a manager who does things right and a leader who does the right thing was talked about by Greg in this message. Can you think of a time when doing the right thing was more important than just doing things right? I feel like the example that he gave when he was kind of talking about this was the employee that he had let go, where, the performance was down. And he didn't take the time to find out what was going on behind the scenes. And would that have changed the long term? Who knows? You know what I mean? But that was something that he brought up.
I feel like the longer or the older I get, the more I'm like, if I need to bend the rules, I'm going to bend the rules to help someone or benefit them. Like, yeah, so I don't know if that's what you mean when you say, do the right thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Managing wisely and leading wisely are extremely tricky, and you need a lot of guidance from the Holy Spirit. I think one of the most helpful things for me as a manager going into conversations is praying beforehand, acknowledging the Holy Spirit, you're here in this moment, and then just praying during the conversation, would you please enlighten my mind as to what's needed most in this situation? Because sometimes, and sometimes it's very helpful to see a person as an individual and treat them with maybe unique or special care. But sometimes it's important to remember that you're overseeing a large group of people, and having consistency is helpful to keep good feelings across the board.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's not always a cut and dry answer. And so seeking out the Lord in the middle of those conversations is just always my go-to, or I really try to do that as much as I can.
That's really wise. I was just recently having a conversation with someone that had a staff member that was underperforming, and just asking, okay, so what do you think, should my next steps be? And I said to them, well, I think possibly asking them the why of, is this caused by something in their job? You know what I mean? Is it a process or a lack of knowledge or something that could be affected? Or is this caused by this is maybe just not the right fit for that person?
Mm-hmm.
And then, you can address each one of those differently because it's going to mean different things for that person and for the organization, because you have to balance the needs of both. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What does if I perish, surrender look like in your context? This one's kind of hard. I don't mean, life and death situations, these beat up stories, these bully stories,
Right. Yeah, we had those experiences too. Thankfully, we're here to tell about them.
Right. All in one piece.
I just think of her posture of kind of surrendering to the Lord. I think there are some situations in our lives that we feel like we have control over, but we really don't. And then there are some situations in our life that like smack us across the face and are like, you don't have any control over this. And I just feel like in my life, it's just been one long lesson in disabusing me of the notion that I had any control over my life whatsoever. And you can either go out kicking and screaming and resisting and saying, Lord, I'm going to fight you this whole way. Or you can, like Esther did, and just say, okay, here it is. You're going to have to work this out, Lord. And I want to honor you with my surrender. It's a very hard lesson to learn, giving it all up to God.
Yes. And I guess one area of my life I can relate to this idea is just changing professions after 23 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I started getting those emails from the Department of Ed, like, your teaching license is going to expire. And I'm always like, is that bothering? Do I need to keep that current? And so, my plan was to be a teacher and a principal. I went to undergrad and then master's degree in administration, and figured that's what I would do the rest of my life. And until, things changed and I felt the Lord pulling me in a different direction. And so, I left that career, and a lot of, people thought that was foolish. Like, you have a 401k, you've been putting in this 401k for 23 years, which is kind of a myth anyway. Like, I didn't lose money. I took money with me, but there's just certain parameters people are almost enslaved to, like you can't, why would you change that? You got to make it to this number. And I was like, what if the Lord's telling me to do something different? Like, what is my allegiance to? Is my allegiance to my 401k, or is my allegiance to the Lord? And just like, the verse that Gigi pointed out in 1 Corinthians, God chose the foolish things of the world to shame the wise. Like, so many things in this world that seem like wise and this is the next step and this makes sense. Like it's an upside down kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Lord works in unexpected ways and calls us into unexpected things sometimes.
Yeah.
And we do have to decide, am I going to surrender the logical plan that makes sense on paper, or am I going to obey the Lord's still quiet, small voice? So,
yeah.
That's good. Yeah. I really thought of this again. I thought of my parenting first. Greg talked about even the example of his own parenting, where he had been kind of putting some pressure on one of his kids until his wife spoke up. And I thought of there's a level of we all want our kids to like us, but are we being the best parent if we just play it safe like that? And so for me, I mean, there are times where I have surrendered the idea of I'm going to have a good relationship with my kids right now because it's important that I speak into their lives in a certain way, or that I call out a certain behavior or implement a certain, consequence because of something they've done. And they're not going to like me. And maybe it'll be for a long while and maybe it'll be for a short while. But it is more important that they are safe or that they know where my lines are, where their boundaries are. But it's the same is true with friendships. I've had different friendships in my life where, okay, I need to speak into something that's important to me and how this relationship is affecting my life. And it may mean I lose this relationship, but is that something I'm willing to surrender to stand on the I don't know what the right word I'm looking for, the manners that I want in my own
convictions.
life. Convictions. Yes. Yeah, that's good. The convictions that I want. I think you always have to be able to look back and be proud of your decisions. And if there's things that you weren't willing to speak into, then I like how Greg talked about, I'm trying to think now how he put it, that when they started middle school, that there was one of them who was different. I think, is that what did he, I'm trying to think how he phrased it, but I think that's a consideration too. Am I going to be looked at differently culturally if I do this thing or speak up? Or there's times I feel a hesitation about, do I want to make this post on social media? Because I know 75% of my friends or following will support it, love it, feel the same way. But what is this other 25% going to think, and how does that affect my relationship with them? That hesitation is me deciding which is more important. You know what I mean? That I want to profess my faith or my politics or my, whatever it is, at the risk of offending people. What am I laying down? Yeah. Reflecting on Esther 4:14, what does "for such a time as this" mean to you personally? And how does that influence your daily decisions? I love that phrase, "for such a time as this." I feel, I don't know, I feel it's so applicable to many situations. But I think that sometimes, I said this a couple weeks ago here on the podcast when we were talking about it, and I said, sometimes I think we're looking for too big of situations. Like it's got to be like an Esther situation where her life is literally on the line. And I think we can look for small situations where it's for such a time as this. What is the hand we're dealt, and how is God wanting us to use it?
Yeah, and not even just big and small situations, but every believer in Jesus has that call in their life. God's put them on this earth for such a time as this. So it's not like, that's just reserved for people of influence or well-known pastors, You're placed in your life for such a time as this. And so just realizing, like, God views your life as of enormous importance. And it's not like, I forgot about what's going on with her. Do I have plans for her at all? Absolutely not. I mean, you're at the forefront of his mind. One of the things that's amazing about God is a lot of people think, God's too busy to deal with my little life. God's very amazingness, his very bigness allows him to care intimately about my life and your life and your life and everybody's lives. And so he hasn't forgotten about you, and he has a good plan for you, and he has plans for your life for such a time as this. So please do not devalue yourself and say, this is not something that applies to me. It absolutely does. God wants to partner with you in those important moments of your life. He wants to honor you by coming alongside you and saying, let's do this together. Love it.
Yeah. And that's a very uncommon way of thinking, I think. I think it's more common to think, oh, God doesn't have time for this.
Right. And that's such a lie. And it's so
lie.
demoralizing.
It is a lie. And that's part of our, job is to remind people of the truth.
Yep.
And the true character and the true nature of God and how much he cares for us. And that is something we don't want to miss.
Yeah.
I had a leader a long time ago say, if you're saying to yourself, someone should do that, then it's also your job to look around and see, is that someone you? That anytime you say that, and that's what I think of in that, okay, if I'm saying, hey, someone should do that, is that me, God?
Right.
Right.
Probably.
Is this my for such a time as this? Yeah, probably. All right. How does Hebrews 4:16, approaching the throne of grace with confidence, change how you approach God in hard moments? And that verse reads, let us then approach God's throne of grace with confidence so that we may receive mercy and find grace to help us in our time of need.
It's just confirming exactly what you just said, Julie. Like we are commanded to come to him in every situation and lay down our plans and say, what are your plans, Lord? And we're to do that confidently, knowing that the Lord is waiting for us to do that.
Yeah.
He's not busy with anything else. In his almighty power, he can deal with all of us intimately every moment of every day.
Yep. And I would just say, don't dishonor the sacrifice that Jesus made in order for you to approach your Heavenly Father. He did that at the cost of his own life. And for you to say, oh, I don't know, I just feel like I can't do that. Or maybe God's too busy for me, or I've just sinned too much. Then you're putting all of that on you, your salvation on you. And if you're good enough, or if he's paying attention to you, Jesus died so that you would have the privilege of approaching God's throne. So let's put aside all these thoughts about, I need to do it myself. Let's look directly at Jesus and say, thank you for the gift that you gave to me in order to do this, and I'm going to make full use of it.
I also think that we approach him with confidence in our asks, that we can ask him for big things. He's a big God.
Yes.
And when we minimize what we think he can do, we're minimizing our perception of him. Yeah. And he can do more than more than we ask or imagine?
Yes.
Isn't that the verse? Yeah, in Ephesians. Yeah. Yeah, that's good. That's really good. All right. What are your final takeaways from this message as we wrap up today?
Well, we didn't talk about the gory part at all.
You want to dive into that?
Getting people impaled.
Ooh, sheesh. And it does make me think of, Zach did a whole series or sermon on flipping the weapon, weapons and that's the kind of God that we have. He protects his children in mighty and unexpected ways. And
love it.
And, what a twist of a tale that was.
Yes.
Right.
I know.
So
it's just as good as any movie.
And it's incredible. Yeah, it's incredible how it happened. The king Xerxes is like having insomnia, and he's like, Mordecai was never honored for that one thing. I'm totally quoting it incorrectly here. But again, the Lord approached him at this quiet moment and started to work his plan that was going to happen, regardless if we are a part of it or not,
Yes.
And Mordecai was spared, and Haman was, his life ended that day. That's incredible.
Yeah. And how God orchestrates everything. I was just thinking about this the other day, just in my own life, because sometimes when you look ahead to the future and there are things that are concerning to you, what you need to do is just remember God's past faithfulness. And it's really stunning how you can see just things coming together from a long ways out, everything that kind of had to be orchestrated in order for some circumstance to work out for your for God's glory and your good. And so just trusting him with those things and then realizing he's inviting you to come to his throne, to make those requests, and that he's inviting you into this awesome partnership of really bringing heaven to earth.
Right.
So, man, it's an empowering, exciting thing to be a part of.
I'm going to be honest. I had to watch this sermon a couple times to really get it all because the idea of reverse just kept putting in my head the cha-cha slide. Reverse, 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 reverse. No, I really like the idea that he talks about how this was a reversal of fortune. You know, that the steps that Esther took really reversed the fate of people, and I think that's amazing. And I think that we sell ourselves short maybe on what the impact that we can have on praying for someone or, you know, being a good manager or something. It's those little trickles. Like you said, so many small things have to come together for a certain situation. And we don't know where we're at in that story, what part we have to play. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, ladies, for being here today. We are wrapping up with the last week of Game On next week with FIFA.
Wow. And thank you, Queen Esther. You are a boss lady.
That is. May we have your courage.
Yes.
All right. Until then, let's keep living our faith beyond Sunday.